My name is Delos Smith. I'm a native New Yorker. I was born in this city, April 16th, 1935. I was considered normal going into the 4th grade, but I had a lot of difficult problems. There was this little boy that talked backwards, wrote backwards. I was a mess. Who in hell wants to write from left to right when you can write from right to left? I wrote mirror.
Hi, I'm Harvey Hubble. This is my friend, Delos Smith. Delos is a dyslexic. A person with dyslexia has some degree of difficulty in learning to read words, letters, and other symbols. But it does not affect a person's level of intelligence, nor their ability to have a successful life.
As a youngster, had terrible, terrible challenges. The schools told me that I was a failure.
There are no two dyslexics the same. Delos describes himself as a mirror man. He sees things backwards, he writes things backwards. When he was a kid, he even used to talk backwards. But it's very rare. I don't know how Delos ever learned how to read. It's one of those mysteries of a dyslexic mind. Beats the heck out of me.
Those kids that have fallen back, unless there's some very intensive intervention, they'll always have that feeling that they failed at, like, childhood's most important job.
But failure never bothered me in my 30s. Did in my high school and college, where I did fail. Upset my parents terribly. I have a high school degree and a college degree and was C minus, minus, minus. In fact, I was, in the list that they have, I was the last one. Of course, in my looking, I like to reverse things. I'm number one.
Delos never dwelled on the challenges of having a dyslexic brain. Instead, from an early age, he celebrated the strength of his mind.
The first thing I ever read is the New York Times. I have never read a nursery school thing, what most children have. Mine was right into the thick of World War II. I mean, what incredible events occurred in the 1940s. And my father is a newspaper man, a very successful newspaper man for the United Press. In my home, you have to love current events. That's all you heard. So I became that current events junkie. That's how I got jobs, was because I knew current events so well.
Delos knew his brain was different, yet chose to see it as an asset, a way to define his life and to create an avenue for his own success.
How I became the economist that I became is I could see a bigger picture. I knew how this world was put together. I understood the economies. I learned economics starting with current events. Everything is hooked with looking at a newspaper because the newspaper gives you the whole picture. Every paper has a section about business, the economy, where we are in the business cycle. And then later I became a broadcaster for the CNBCs of the world, CNN, Bloomberg, and I talked about economic indicators. What goes up and what goes down, and of course what all of that means.
Sometimes we forget that dyslexics have difficulty with language, but they excel in other areas. I think that what made Delos a very, very great economist is that he was able to see the whole picture. That's the way he views the world.
Despite dyslexia, Delos had a successful career in consulting, economics, and broadcasting, but he was driven to understand his condition. Delos has a lifelong interest in music, yet he carried a childhood trauma because he was told he was a failure and he could not learn things like music and dance. So in his mid-30s, Delos signed up for piano lessons, where he made an incredible discovery.
I rehearse and practice a lot in my apartment. I have opera singers come all the time. His door is facing mine. And anytime someone comes and knocks on your door in the middle of practice, you know it's bad news. Because you know someone's coming to complain that it's too loud and all of that.
Myra's my next door neighbor, so I can hear what she plays fluently.
But he knocks on the door and he just said, I just had to tell you how much I love the music that's coming from your apartment.
My quest for music is why couldn't I do it? Everybody was telling you don't have this, you don't have that, your voice is terrible. And I didn't think that was true.
He was one of my early students. The first time he came in, I asked him to play up the keyboard so I can see how your hands work, and he went down, which sort of surprised me.
They wanted me to do something called pitch. Now, what on earth is pitch? I don't know, and the tone, I wouldn't follow the rhythm.
So I said, well, would you play down for me? But that time he went up. I thought, something's weird here.
And I knew something was going on. I could not explain it to you. Something was driving me.
So I said, can you play one thing over and over in a steady tempo? It wasn't steady at all. So I thought, well, maybe it's too fast. So I said, would you slow down? He speeded up.
He told me he wasn't helping me at all, and he thought he was stealing my money.
You know, I didn't know what to do with him. Everything seemed backwards to me. I remember at the end of the 6 weeks, I asked the registrar, don't sign him up for me again because I don't know how to help him.
At the end of 6 classes, he fired me. Next summer, to his great shock, I showed up again and again.
Eventually, I had a class called From Bach to Bartok. It was about imitative counterpoint. One melody could be imitated in different keys. It could be turned upside down. It could be backwards. And he was in this small class. At the point that I brought up what was called retrograde, he looked really weird, looking around. Didn't say a word after classes, I remember.
If I play a simple 5-note scale, retrograde is that backwards. Bach is very well known for retrograde because he wrote a lot of canons and fugues. In one of the canons, he has the melody and the exact reverse version of that melody playing at exactly the same time.
I came home from this lesson at this school. I said, let me try retrograde. And I just reached for the first one. Oh, my darling Clementine, expecting absolutely nothing. I start playing Oh, my darling Clementine backwards. That means the bottom of it to the top of it. I was playing it with a feeling that I had never felt before. My whole body just rejoiced, and I said to myself, oh my God, you're just as merry as you ever was. It was beautiful.
To him, I feel like it was almost a type of salvation to discover how he understands things, and also how music came into his life.
December 9th, 1976, Mirror Day, or the playing of Oh My Darling Clementine backwards.
That was his holiday, really, because it was a breakthrough for him.
I now belong to all kinds of dyslexic groups, and that's after Oh My Darling Clementine. That's what makes this such a major change for me.
I really admire Delos for his dedication to help others and to help young children and adults not to have to experience the hardships that he's had.
We all live in a culture. We don't really think about unwritten rules, especially in our educational system, and that is why dyslexics get caught up.
Delos has been getting funding for us, which has enabled us to educate many teachers, and 100 or so dyslexics have gotten therapy that they've needed that's really kind of changed their trajectory for life. Delos has really been an outstanding influence to say we need to treat the dyslexic child as the individual that they are.
What a mirrored person is, it is not really backwards. It is seeing it from another point of view.
You can just tell that the way that he thinks about everything, it comes with an insight that not everyone has.
Many people that have a difficulty in language have an absolutely unique ability for other areas.
Somebody who has that kind of a dyslexia, in a way, it's almost a great advantage.
I'm now using both sides of the brain. The two hemispheres can do remarkable things. Have a powerful right hemisphere, a powerful left hemisphere. If you put all of it together, your chances of a fruitful, successful life grow very appreciably.